ChatGPT apparently is a super awesome looking and super scary looking tool. I say that because I was testing this out. I heard a lot about it, and I was starting to test it out. And really, I was just writing sentences to this chatbot. It's a chatbot tool, and I can write simple sentences in English like, "Write me a blog post about the top 10 largest moons in the solar system." Right? This can be any sentence. I want it to write me something, and it came back with this whole list of the solar system, blah blah blah. And here's the top 10 moons in the solar system. I even went to Google and was like looking around, and it seems that the chatbot actually got this right. Kind of scary, but it basically wrote this stuff in a matter of seconds. And also, you'll see as I scroll through this screencast that I asked it a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, even like which moons have liquid on their surface, and it even talked about Titan having like liquid methane, which is I think is accurate. But I'll scroll down. I asked it a bunch of other questions that are along those lines, but then I started to ask it about like coding. And I said, write a Python script to retrieve an XML feed and put the feed items into a list. And it actually came back and started to write code. It said, here's a sample Python script, and it starts to write. It imports some modules. It like sets up the feed. It does an example feed. I didn't specify where to take it from, but it sets an example feed, and then starts to write the actual Python code. And I did this a couple more times where I was like, let me just refine my ask. And I said, write a Python script to retrieve the XML feed and write the feed items to an HTML web page. And it did it. And what I did was I actually took this code here, I copied the code, and I popped it into my Visual Studio Code. I ran it, and then I previewed that file that it generates, which is feed.html here, and it actually worked. It spit out all the feed items. And I didn't tell you this, but I actually replaced this feed with a feed from NASA, or just basically just an XML feed of news. But doing those, basically copying the code, replacing the feed location, and running it, it actually worked. So that is super cool and super scary. And so I did this a few more times. I was writing more requests. I even tried C#. Like I asked it to write a C# program to calculate some prime numbers up to a given number, and I did not test this, but I just was still surprised that it actually gave me code. Yeah, and I even asked it to write a C# API app, which it looks like it did. And what else did I do here? I started asking it if it was sentient. It tried to tell me that it wasn't. I didn't really believe it. But I actually went into some PHP programming to see if it could do that. It did that too. And did some more Python requests. And then finally it kind of timed out between yesterday when I ran this and today. It's been down. I haven't been able to get back into it. But yeah, I mean, it is super awesome and pretty scary. Just wanted to give you guys my first reaction.